let's invite the next guest. We already have him. He's also going to talk about a new future, a construction of a new future, not just from the sociological point of view. So let's listen to Maurizio Carta. Good afternoon, Maurizio. Here I am, Cosmano. How are you? Super happy seeing you, being here with you. Of course, I've got a little bit of nostalgia for the warmth of the Web Marketing Festival. That's a very strong feeling, but we will soon be there again, and we will catch up with what we've lost. It will be even stronger, I know. Yeah, Maurizio. So we're talking about cooperation, about the future, and about how we're going to start again concrete, practical projects. And later on during this day, we will listen to 9 Italian projects and later on 6 international projects. But now I'm going to give you the floor for your presentation because I'm very curious about what you're about to say. So, do you want to share your screen with us? Yes, of course. I've prepared a few slides. You are speaking from Palermo, right? Yes. And we will also have an in-depth interview at a later stage in our YouTube channel and other media channels in order to have an in-depth analysis of the topic. Also because there's another topic, the borghi, the little towns and small Italian towns projects. We are sharing and we will have some in-depth analysis of that as well. But now, I'd like to share with you the need to start thinking about the future, the aftermath, how our cities will change. And my point of view as an urbanist is this sentence by Patrick Jeds, which has always been a beacon for me. Individuals, by acting together in the collective interest, the constructive principle of urbanistic, can really change reality. This was from 1915, and I think this sentence is still true today, and it refers to landscapes and cities and urbanistic perspectives. So we know that after the Industrial Revolution, for the whole 19th century, there was a strong acceleration, especially in the 20th century, and the humanity has been thinking in this sense. So being enthusiastic, being in the Anthropocene, this is a very good example of this. So we think we are in the fabulous Anthropocene, but this is the reality of Anthropocene, a very, very strong environmental footprint. Look at this. If we were to deform the countries based on the environmental impact, we will have such an impact. Look at how massive our impact on the world is. It really reflects some modern representations of the planet. But of course, we also have an unsustainable consumption of raw materials on the planet and also a lack of equality throughout the world. This is the world's vision, a deformed vision based on lack of access to water for people. This is the Anthropocene. And then this, the signs of devastation, practical actions caused by Anthropocene. This is the aftermath of Katrina, the hurricane, then the fire in Australia, and more recently the rise of the Laguna in Venice. And this is a sort of ultimatum from the planet. I think the Earth has given us several signs: global warming, climate change, but we apparently weren't listening to it. So we went on in our progress, in our development, and this microscopic virus was sent to us to convince us that we have to change our mankind horizon. We couldn't keep on thinking that such a complex path of innovation could last with us as predators. This is a representation of Italy made by the University of Bergamo. Look at how Italy can be represented based on the infection. So it becomes evident that some features of modern times have speeded up the contagion, the infection. And you can notice the same pattern in the most developed countries. So China, USA, Europe, India. So you can see how the coronavirus is expanding based on the advancement, the progress level of the countries. This is what we did. We have been an enemy to our planet and to species living in our planet. We thought we were a dominant species without respecting the other species, and we created an unsustainable metabolism, like this wonderful graffiti in favelas in South America. So the Anthropocene dream has become, to all intents and purposes, a nightmare. And therefore we need to work for a different present. In a different present. The problem is not imagining or thinking about a new future. From my point of view, the urbanistic point of view, my interest is planning a new future based on a new present, a different present. Also because we are different. We're not just an unsustainable environmental footprint. We can generate value. We can generate something positive, as you can see. And we also want to protect cultural and environmental resources. This is the UNESCO World Heritage List sites, for instance. All the sites that are protected by the UNESCO. Or just look at the Nobel Prizes for literature since 1901. So we're not just predators. We're also a creative dominant species, so we need to act for the new Anthropocene revolution. We need to understand our anthropocenism can be creative and can be revolutionary. So we need to do 4 things. First of all, rethink the network society. We need to rethink our society constantly. We need to accelerate digital transformation, which is something we are doing out of need, of course. It was a very important thing that came in during the crisis. We need to rethink how we share spaces, how we share functions, economies, and how we share lifestyles. And then, of course, we need to combat climate change, to fight against climate change in a proactive way against what's happening to our planet. And the response of the urbanistic perspective is this: none. No answer to this question. Basically, we cannot hide the mistakes that we in urbanistic development have done, because all of our answers were old-fashioned, like these plans from 1860, where the issue of health was somehow taken into account. This was after the pandemic, of course, 1860, but also the machine city, so segregated city, like in the Corbusier perspective. But this is too far away from what we need for our society. So we need a paradigm shift. So the augmented cities need to act in 10 dimensions in order to tackle the 4 challenges I've been mentioning: network society, digital transformation, circular society, and climate change. But luckily enough, in order to start planning the future, the aftermath, we have some vanguards of new Anthropocene. We're not starting from scratch because some signs were already given to us. So Devon Price, wonderful UK architect, planned this palace in hybrid multifunctional structure without any specific plan, but able to adapt to different needs and requirements of the people using it. We would need such places able to adapt to different requirements. Or in 1964, a working city, a city that can move, that can live based on the requirement of movement we have, or a radical representation of balloons like surviving capsules for the pandemic we would need nowadays. It looks like a very modern picture, but it's from 1966. This is to tell you that we need to experiment and to move on to a new dimension of our cities. We need to think of cities as coral reefs. That's to say, circularity, diversity. This is how we will tackle the challenges we're facing right now. Can you tell me? Yeah, you can go on. So, some experimentation with Mario Cucinelli and Patrizia Monte and other colleagues. We've been experimenting a model of augmented city, circular city in Città Vecchia of Taranto, the old city centre. Then, together with other colleagues, we gathered together in order to think about a new future for other cities like Gibellina, for instance. There are cities that are starting doing this. They are doing, for instance, Cultural Park in the southern part of Sicily. We are having such an activity, a different way of living and housing. So this is expanding in different areas. Or our colleagues in other cities in Italy, they have a lab which is a theatre and also an education place, smart working venue. So we need experimentation because the city of the future needs to be able to make functions hybrid, to mix functions, to join them together. And this is a time where in our houses we're thinking about it, because we think, for instance, that our houses must be able to adapt to a more flexible situation, to exchange. And of course, when we will be back to public spaces, we need to rethink spaces. I have written a book on this, and for sure we can have further dialogue on this if you want. This was just an introduction. Okay, Maurizio, very enlightening. Thank you very much. We've got lots of questions for the future, for the aftermath, but yes. You've also mentioned 4 bullet points, among which also climate change. And you introduced the next topic, because in a short time we will also listen to Mr. McCulley. And there's another topic I'd like to tackle with you, the borghi, the little towns and fortress towns in Italy, because the borghi are conceived in a very peculiar way, and when it comes to cities, this concept can also apply to borghi, basically. But I think that they've been neglected over the last few years. So we need to launch a project together with those who are living in these small cities, in the borghi, in the small towns. And for sure you will have an opportunity to say something on that as well. Of course, that's also relevant, because we haven't just neglected the borghi, but also forgot the lesson they are teaching us, because they are self-sufficient communities that can work perfectly in themselves. So paying attention to the borghi means going back to a different human habitat that can give you the utmost creativity and the best relationship between the people in the community and harmony in a community. So it's important to work in these topics for sure. This is the last thing I'd like to say. With some friends, Flavio Brenti and other friends as well, we created a new platform that is called Dopo, afterwards. And I'd like to have an exchange between platforms, okay, so that we can share. our discoveries. Yes, for sure, we will do something in this sense. But thank you very much for now. Very beautiful pictures. The coral reef image was very, very interesting to rethink the world. So thank you once again.